Hello guys, this is Jerry speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM episode number 560. And today we're reacting to Purple Roads podcast episode number 44. Day retro or pronounce it on Saturday Boo Tunes. And reacting to this begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm Kerry Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Kerry Stinson, and this is Purple Roads.
Welcome to Purple Roads. I'm Kerry Stinson, and this is going to be so much fun this week. We're kind of going back a little bit, we're going forward, and we're kind of going all over the place with our good friend Danny Lebrecht. Danny's back. We're going to talk all about what's going on with Danny Joe's Treehouse, and then he's got something else that's going to be really cool. This is October. We're doing Halloween, and he's got a show that we're going to talk about. It's pretty exciting and a lot of fun.
Wow.
Danny, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I was trying to remember. So the last time that we talked through the screen, has it been 6 months? Am I going a little over or?
No, you're not, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Time and space doesn't mean anything right now. It feels like we've been on this roller coaster ride because I know the first interview we did, it was right after quarantine really kicked in.
Well, it was,
And
and it was also the first one. You were the first one I did for my house, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we just kept it going.
I'm glad you've been
Wow.
having so many great guests on. By the way, I've really enjoyed watching it. It's been a nice thing to tune in for. Being at home, it's like there's that extra time. So
Wow.
I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a blast for me too. I love learning each week, and it's just so much fun. Hearing stories and seeing where these things go, and I can't wait to hear the update. We talked a little bit, you and I, on the phone, but I'm really interested and can't wait to talk and let everyone know what's been going on with Danny Joe's Treehouse.
Yeah, I'm excited to share. I'm really excited to share. So yeah, Treehouse have been working on it for such a long time, and during COVID, well, two things. My girls and I started doing daily live streams from the Danny Joe's Treehouse Facebook page. They
Man.
were home with me, and we were looking for things to do together, and so they became my fellow puppeteers and production assistants. And my oldest daughter Brody's gotten really good at editing now, so that's been
Man.
just great to bond that way.
Love that.
But yeah, but we wanted to put something out there for families that were, at home and missing their schools, and we wanted to create some sort of routine, a daily routine, and some affirmation and reassurance through the screen. So we started doing these live Danny Joe's Treehouses and talking specifically about what's going on in the moment. So we talked about fears related to masks and how there are people behind the masks, and they're just there to protect yourself and protect others, and just address what's going on in present day without overwhelming. That's what we do at Treehouse all the time.
Wow.
But I mean, it was just an amazing experience. We did it for six weeks, and we stepped back from it to take a little bit of a break because we were also homeschooling and remote
Sure.
schooling at the same time, and just a little overwhelmed. And I thought we'd go right back into it, but we just needed to keep finding that center at home. And but during that time, as we were putting out all those live streams, our audience started growing really quickly. We
Wow.
started making more connections, and I started sending out more Treehouse materials to different people.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, I'm very, very happy and excited to announce that Danny Joe's Treehouse has been picked up for
Wow.
a streaming platform. Yeah, it's great. I'm just really excited to reach and serve more families. That's been a real challenge approaching kids media in the very old school way that we do.
Wow.
Well,
Doesn't necessarily
congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm just so thrilled for you about that. It's such a good lesson. Well, all the things you're doing is such a good lesson, right? But it really tells you if you believe in what you're doing, you just keep going forward. And look what you've done.
That's it. I mean, you really can't give. Well, I think if you're passionate about something, you're not going to give up if it's part of who you are.
Right.
But also, I think sometimes there's this other force that comes in and gives you a little bit of a nudge. It very much felt like all of the training that I've done in my schooling and um, independently learning about interactive screens, it all felt like preparation for this moment, for teaching through the screen and talking about emotions. That's what I've been studying for such a long time, and it feels like this is it. This is the perfect moment to really use those skills to serve. Um, but the platform, it's called Cadoodle TV, and it's a streaming platform. It's free. It's um, it's very different from YouTube. YouTube
Wow.
operates on this algorithm system that isn't always leading you towards appropriate content for your young children.
Yes.
With Cadoodle, there, and even if I didn't get on Cadoodle, I'd be singing
Right.
their praises.
Right.
This isn't just me.
Yeah.
Like sincerely,
Right.
it's not an algorithm. It's parents and grandparents review all of the content that's submitted, and then if they feel that it's appropriate, and there's a lot of voting going on in
Sure.
internal systems, but it's human beings ultimately making these
Right.
choices about what they want to share with kids and how that's going to really nurture them. So all of their programs are really great, and I'm just so proud to be part of it. We're going to be launching within the next few weeks. And,
Wow.
just super excited.
Well, we'll have the links. We will push people there. We, being me, absolutely love your show and love what's going on there. I love talking about what Cadoodle is doing, what you guys are doing. We've just gone outside of the box, which I absolutely love. Is that we've been hit with this pandemic and everyone's all over the place, but the creativity is coming through.
Wow.
And people are finding ways. I love how you did everything with your kids and talking about those subjects that are tough and helping. I love that. And then what you're doing here, I've loved Danny Joe's Treehouse from the beginning, and I'm so excited that you're going to have this opportunity to take this show. And I can't wait to see where you're going to go with it, because I know, and I want to talk about it right now, you've been working on some new things.
Yes. Well, so with COVID, we've had to become really creative. We were just starting to film the next season before everything kicked off. So we got one in the can where we actually had someone come in person to our home studio down in our basement.
Wow.
But now, that we're in this for a while still.
Right.
So we've been getting creative with how to use the screen and bring on other real life adult caregivers, because that's another big component of Danny Joe's Treehouse. It's offering lots of adults who sincerely care about kids and
Wow.
aren't just actors playing parts. That's wonderful. That's really great. But these are actual mental health professionals. We're gonna have a regular feelings doctor that's part of the upcoming season. We've got educators and parents and lots of wonderful adults. But we're going to be using interactive screen, and we've been wanting to do a little bit more than the split screen stuff like we're doing now. Like it's great for programs like this,
Sure.
but I think for younger kids, it gets a little repetitive. Like everyone's doing this.
Sure.
Wow.
Even Sesame Street and the Muppets are doing boxes like this. So I built a paper mache robot, which I'm calling the KidBot 5000, and the head is an iPad, and it'll be an opportunity to talk about how we use technology to communicate through the screen.
Wow.
So this robot doesn't work on its own without a human being. So I've got a picture of it. You're actually on it right now.
Wow.
So to me,
Hello.
it's kind of funny. Yeah, Carrie looks like he's the head a robot.
Well, I love that.
Wow.
From a dinosaur to a robot. That's awesome.
This is my daughter. This is my daughter Flynn
wow.
on the KidBot 5000.
Look at that. That is so cool.
Wow.
So we'll have guests coming in that way, and we'll be playing with screen and screen. I'm going to start playing other characters too. Um, so something that Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo, used to do all the time
Wow.
was he was the main host, but he would also play other caricatures. So I've been developing those that I can pre-record and then cut to in creative ways. Got a caveman character named Allie and his cave chicken named Oops, which I can show you.
Wait. Oops. Chicken? Okay, continue on.
Oops here. This is Oops. Yeah, so it's just like stuff that we had laying around the house.
Love it.
But the setup is the caveman Allie draws on his cave wall, which is the screen. So there's a piece of plexiglass here, and he's trying to design a way to get Oops to fly in the sky, even though Oops is a chicken.
Right.
So it never quite goes right, and the kids help to develop ideas on how to make Oops fly.
You know, that's an interesting
stuff like that.
It's such an interesting point that I want to talk about more. Because you've got a balance there, right, with your show, which is the teaching part, obviously, and having these educational people involved in all of the lessons. But it doesn't work if you don't have fun.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have fun too, and kids have to be able to have a good time. And you seem to have really found a good balance there. How do you work on putting each show together where you have a balance of the educational part, but also just the plain old fun part?
Yeah, it's a lot. So much thought goes into it, and practice too. So initially there'll be letters or direct messages will come in from parents, or certain comments will pop up on a video that we've already posted, and interactions in the past in the classroom. And I'll look for common social emotional themes, and then we'll play about those through therapeutic puppetry explorations through this interactive screen or face-to-face. And then I pull out the storylines from that, and then I abstract them so it's not too intense. It's more like approaching a topic like if it was a dream, like a really abstract, surreal dream, like pretend play. And then I try to ground it back to reality with a focus on how do you process, how do you work through something. Not necessarily this is what the solution is, but it's okay to feel all of these things and experience these big ideas, and how can we process it. So that's the foundation of it.
Wow.
And then I mix it up with the language of play. So play can be very sincere and heart to hearts, making eye contact. And play can also be really silly and goofy. And so really it's all me taking the lead from the kids that we're serving. And as often as possible trying to do it in real time with kids, like the interactive stuff on Facebook, or just getting advice from my daughters. I really truly listen to kids. They're the best guides for how to approach that type of communication.
So when you're doing Allie and Oops, do you test it on anyone?
Yeah.
Or you just introduce the character?
Well, I've got a sketchbook, and I draw lots of different characters out. And a lot of that is influenced by my own love of classic kids TV, local kids show hosts.
Wow.
And the types of characters that you would often see. Like the superhero character, or the space explorer, or the cowboy, or the sailor, or so I'm influenced by that, and then I give it a modern day twist, and then I play dress up with my kids.
Wow.
Whether they're in the mood to do it or not, I'll just be in character, goofing around with them, and they give so much back. And then ideally, like pre-COVID, I would do lots of work in different schools throughout Baltimore, and I would bring in the puppets, but I'd also bring in costumes and just play in small groups.
Wow.
And the most amazing things would come out of that. and that would add to the character. And then yeah, I'd practice it through the screen. I've got a couple short clips that I've put up on Instagram of like the Allie and Oops characters.
Yeah, I saw,
Yeah.
I saw it make me laugh. I saw
Okay.
it crack me up. And I love the creativity. I was like, oh, and look where he's going now. And I think that's very cool. I know you've got some other things that you've worked on. And I apologize, I don't remember the exact name, but the retro space.
Yeah. 1 second.
Tell
I'm
me a
gonna
little
dig
bit.
under my desk. Here he is. This is yeah. This is the helmet for Johnny Retro. The
Wow.
speakers
Johnny
might
Retro.
get a little weird. Yeah. So there's yeah. So this is just like a peanuts can.
Ugh.
I took the lid and I cut out this shape, and if you put it over the camera lens, you're suddenly like in a spaceship. You know, you can twist the frame on the camera and have a space adventure. And you can put different
Wow.
filters over the lens. Like this is just a blue piece of plastic, but when you hold it up here, it changes the you poke little holes in that for stars and things.
Wow.
So it's very hands-on. It's still like do it yourself, like it's handmade, and I like that approach because I think it really inspires the kids too. Like, oh, I can do that. I'm so they'll play in the same way through me modeling the behavior.
Yeah.
Well, and it really gets rid of the excuses, right? Well, what do you mean you can't? Right? You all the reasons you shouldn't have a show that's streaming on that. You need all this money to have a production and a budget. And all. Well, no, you just need to have creativity.
Exactly.
That's really it.
And
If you look,
you're
I mean, if
showing
you
that.
look at the and again, like if you go back and you look at the classic shows from the late 40s, early 50s, they didn't have any money. They were all working on shoestring budgets. They were just really creative people out of necessity.
Right.
And then the consistency of having to show up every single day, you have to let go and you have to let that inner kid come out and come back to the language of play.
Yeah.
Which we associate with childhood, but adults are just as good at it. We're just out of practice. It's kind of not beaten out of us, but there's like these social expectations where we don't get to express that side of ourselves, and it's like mental health is going to be a really big theme in this upcoming season too. And play and mental health are they're deeply connected. So even if it looks silly, there's more going on.
Just trying. Just trying, just letting it go, not worrying about what people think. And
Exactly.
obviously, I wouldn't have had a 22-year career, jumping in a purple dinosaur suit. It's the most ridiculous thing if you think about it. And of course, there was no TV show. It wasn't like I was jumping into playing Barney that was known by millions, right? It was known in a small towns in Texas, and I just wanted a job, and I didn't care. I just thought it'd be fun, and look where it turns out, and look what you're doing. And I just absolutely love that. I think it's such an important theme. I know a lot of people that watch this show are performers, or they have the dream that you have, or they have the dream that I had, and they're realizing it's okay if people tell you no. It's okay you don't have a big butt. You just got to go, and there's a lot of people out there that'll help you.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, boy, there's so much rejection in the creative artists. Like that's really just part of it. But it took me a long time to learn this. But so often it's never really about you not being good enough. It's like if it's trying for someone else, something that someone else is creating, like an audition for a part or something. It's just looking for the right fit that might. You might hit all of the things they're looking for, except for this one minute little thing that you couldn't possibly control. And it's so easy to have that just impact so deeply, especially if it's something that you've created yourself. And like with Treehouse, it was really hard for me going through that process of pitching Treehouse because it's Danny Joe's dream. Like it's really me.
Wow.
Like, it's offering myself, and to hear. We're not sure if that's really going to sell in today's market, and have you considered picking up the pace and making it a cartoon and making it much shorter and like that hurts a little more. But even that, you kind of have to rise above it and get perspective on it and see what that's really about, and know that it's all part of this longer process. Like there's no actual end. Like so often you hear really, really well-known, famous, people who on the surface seem to have achieved, all of their dreams, fortune and fame, but often they'll talk about how that doesn't actually lead to happiness. It's the happiness comes from that inner centering and knowing who you are and enjoying your work and being in the moment.
Exactly.
And the fame, fortune stuff, that's like side effects, but that's not happiness. I feel like so many young people are like, I want to be famous as a life goal, but that's so superficial. There's really just being well known that doesn't bring you joy. Pretty concerned about that, especially in our age of interactive screens and how it's promoted in so many ways through social media. That type of goal, but that's not where it's at. It's all everything you're looking for. If you're watching this, it's already up here.
Yeah.
You go within to find the answers.
Yeah, and believing in yourself. I can't even tell you how many episodes of Purple Rose we've done. Slim Goodbody, who was told no by Captain Kangaroo.
Really? 44. Continue on.
Because he didn't want to be standing next to a guy in a suit.
Wow.
And Dee Dee Khan, who has had a huge career. And
wow.
She's got a new project that she's been trying to get going for almost 10 years. And it happens all the time, but they push through, believing in themselves, taking, I hate to use no or rejection, but just taking that stop and going somewhere else and saying, oh, okay, and pushing through. Right, exactly. Yeah. You've done this, and now you're on this new network, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, it's and it feels like it feels good to have some affirmation and to feel noticed. Like that's really nice. Honestly, that feels really good.
Come in. Don't want to get offended by copyright.
There's that.
Thank you.
2 pasta cheese shells.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Don't mute this because of copyright.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Folks. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. Continue on.
But I know that's not like the end game. Like now we're looking ahead to, we have to make more episodes and we have to speak about what's happening in present day more. And, like there's always going to be another goal. And I think if you get hung up on, well, one day,
right,
you're never really going to find that peace of mind. And,
right.
and that's actually, I feel like that's a good lesson for outside of the entertainment side of it and the education side of it, just as human beings in the middle of a plague,
sure.
like thinking end game, that can be so stressful. Going back to mental health, just finding your center and being in the moment and being present.
Well, and let's
that
say,
can go a long way.
When we're talking about the creativity and the pushing through and the belief, this is not just entertainment. It could be if you want to become a nurse, if you want to become a librarian, whatever your dream is, it's still in play here, right? So the creativity is important in whatever you do in life. And believing in yourself, whatever you want to do, you can do if you just push through and understand. It happens to all of us, but it's the ones that just say, okay, I'm not going to I'm just going to move through. They usually move through.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit, Danny, about what else is new. What else are we going to see new from Danny Joe's Tree?
Sure. Well, I've got another puppet character, although technically it's a
wow.
It's a marionette. It's my very first attempt at a marionette. I used to use a paper mache one it was very abstract in the classroom, and we would talk about body integrity and head, shoulders, do's, and toes, and connecting, with your physical self to get to the inside stuff. So I had a real simple one, but this is the first really fancy one, which I'm very proud of. This is Buckaroo.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so he whistles when he talks. He's got a pencil for drawing. Draw. So this will be part of another pre-recorded thing, where through the tin can we can go throughout periods of time. So back to the Stone Age with Allie and Oops, or Buckaroo will have a prospector. Hey, oh boy, howdy! Look at this! Diggity goo doo doo. That sort of a character.
Yeah.
And it's a drawing show. So quick draw, and Buckaroo will draw different things while the prospector is telling a story. But the story, again, it comes from the kid on the other side. So
Wow.
So yeah, just playing with lots of different ideas. But here's a little more detail.
Like Chef way different. Oh my God.
Well, I'm a Texas boy, so I love his boots.
Yeah. Do you have scars on your boots too, Carrie?
No, I need to get a pair.
Yeah, so that's so stuff like that, and what else is new? So no spoilers, but Kingsley will go a little too far with his bossiness this season, and he's gonna be given an opportunity for a time in, and one of the caregivers, Senora Yesenia, is going to call his mom, the queen, and say, "We need." So the queen, who's a real person, will come in and we'll do a parent-teacher conference, and that will lead to Kingsley meeting with his feelings doctor to talk about the difference between being a good ruler, and how that goodness and kindness isn't about power and outer strength and bossing people around. It's about really listening to others. But it's essentially going to be a therapy session that we can share during a stressful time, because I never really wanted Kingsley to be the bad guy in the show. Everybody feels that way, especially kids, like striving for power, and sometimes that comes out in bursts that aren't necessarily socially acceptable. And I want to be able to explore that, because we're all so complex. And the lesson that we keep showing kids often on the screen with our adult behavior is you're on this side, you're on that side. If you don't get along, you're and we're just more complex than that. So I want to model that a little bit. And then the really neat thing, which I'm super excited about. So part of Kingsley's therapy, the Dr. Dana, his therapist, will suggest that he use play to talk about his feelings, and that will lead to him getting a doll to play with. But it's me. It's a Danny Joe doll, and so he can speak to me, because I tend to put words in his mouth.
Yeah.
So it's gonna get really meta. So this was just made. It hasn't come in yet.
Oh my goodness.
But
wow.
Yeah, so there's a little Danny Joe doll, and the Danny Joe doll has a little tiny Kingsley puppet and a Teddy puppet. So,
wow.
So it's gonna be. I'm so excited about.
That's beautiful. Who did that?
So there's a woman named Allison Hoffman, and she runs or has created this website and company called Crafty is Cool. And she does these amazing doll portraits of, average Joes and celebrities. She did the whole cast of Hamilton, and she's done Pee Wee Herman and political folks. And the attention to detail is so impressive. But yeah, look her up. It's Crafty. Crafty is Cool.
Absolutely.
And then you can buy the patterns and make your own.
Wow.
Which I really like. Yeah. So those are some sneak peeks into what'll be
I
happening.
love it. And when will new episodes? When will we see all that? I guess after everything that's going on.
Yeah, well, the plan is so Cathedral's going to show remastered and recut episodes from our last season that started off with David Newell, and that was like the introduction into the treehouse with all the puppets, and we set up the basic world of Danny Joe's treehouse. So that'll start, like I said, in a few weeks, and then after a cycle, then we'll introduce some new episodes. And I've been writing those new episodes and tweaking them because of present times.
Yeah.
And I've got a rehearsal with Dr. Dana on Wednesday, and so we're starting to put it together now.
Right.
And hopefully we'll be recording in October, starting to record bits and pieces.
Well, it's very exciting. I can't wait to see what comes up and just keep watching and seeing what's going on.
You're always welcome at Danny Joe's Treehouse.
Well, thank you. And we're not losing you by any means, but we can't wait. We're a big fan. I'm a big fan of what you do, and I just love where you've gone with this.
Well, thank you. Your support's meant a lot to me. For people that don't know, we've talked more than these 2 times. Yeah. I've kind of like grabbed on to Carrie and help me. We talk on the phone a lot, and you've been such a great mentor and friend, and ultimately a friend, and that means a lot to me.
Wow.
Well, you've become a good friend of mine too, and I love this, and I think you've probably got some fuel going in me again as well. You know, I mean, it's very exciting talking about it and seeing where you're going and what you're doing. I just love it. Mm-hmm. Which takes us now to the second part of this episode. One of our phone calls, I found out about this other project you've been doing, and I just got so excited about it. I'm a huge fan of Halloween. I love it, and so we're doing some Halloween episodes in October, and I know you're a fan of it, and you know, obviously with what's going through in the world right now, you know, Halloween's going to be changed this year, and you told me about this project you were doing, and so I'm looking forward to talking about it, and we are going to show right now. You got a clip for us, right?
Yeah, I brought a clip. The setup is my daughters and I, since they were very young, our family Halloween tradition is we will do our own Halloween special, and it is influenced by the late night horror shows of the 60s and 70s, like Bengali and Elvira, and only we don't go super scary at all.
Right.
We look at public domain Halloween cartoons, and we will do a parody of an old classic spooky movie, and then we'll make a spooky, scary snack. And and it's this great thing. Like, we only do it once a year, every Halloween, and you see the growth of my daughters, Birdie and Flynn. And we started it because at the time, my daughter, when we first did it, she was 3, and Halloween was a pretty scary time.
Right.
And so often parents will say, "Oh, it's just pretend, don't be scared." But that doesn't really help. Even if you say something is pretend, the feeling is still real. And if there's a skeleton shaking in a window, there's a skeleton shaking in the window. That's actually happening, even if it's plastic. That's secondary, and the emotion is very real. So we started talking about the process of, okay, well, how is that made, and let's look at it in a different light. And I thought a good way to approach that was if we started making some Halloween stuff. So that's how it started. And the clip that I brought is from our last Halloween show. It's called Saturday Morning Blue Tunes.
Okay, let's show everyone what it's starting to look like as it melts here. So see, that's good. I could eat that just as it is. It's delicious. But no, now we want it to look green like Frank.
Can I put it in?
So like Frank's monster. So yes, so just squeeze just like 1 or 2 or 3 little drops of the froggy juice. One. That's so much. Whoa. Okay. That's gonna be very green, but it should be because
Like
Frankenstein's
very,
monster.
very dark green.
Yeah.
Okay, why that's good. Now you keep staring, and I'm gonna get out the sponsor of our show today. It's the Gulag's Lice Creepies treats. Yes,
Rice Krispies.
Rice Creepies. They're so
It kind of reminds me of Rice Krispies, but okay. Continue on.
delicious and nutritious.
Well, there's no way you can't have fun watching that. I love that, Daddy.
Thank you. Oh, we had so much fun. We had so much fun making it, and it's what I love about it is, there's so much focus on screens and the idea of screen time right now,
Yes.
and that term screen time it's becoming kind of outdated pretty quickly because it's not these allotted times for screen. Like screens are everywhere.
Right.
They're whether you like it or not, and I think the really important thing in consideration for parents and educators and caregivers when talking with kids about screens and interacting with them through screens is they're just things. They're just these tools, and we decide how to use the tools, not the other way around. It
Wow.
can be used in really positive ways where you're collaborating with other human beings and you're being creative and you're sharing thoughts and ideas and feelings through the screen. Or they can be used to be very negative and send inappropriate messages and scary messages and all the negative stuff that tends to be associated with them. But social media in general, like how we can be manipulated by things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as adults, being aware of that, like I think we're all aware of it now, and then deciding how to use the tools and hopefully shift it and change it and refine it so we keep the good stuff, the social aspect, but we can get rid of the manipulation side of it, like so all of that is like coming out of the way that in our family, the way that we choose to use screens. We make things together. My wife Stephanie, who films Treehouse and is the director for Treehouse, she's credited as the mummy. Was the mummy that in Saturday Morning Boo Tunes. She directs it and she does the editing and she teaches the kids how to age film and do all those film filters and it's just a blast. Just playing, having an excuse to play pretend. Not that you need an excuse, but it's for us. It's nice to have that family record because again, like year to year is a new episode. And this neat digital family album.
Wow.
Through a very unique lens. So yeah, we love doing it. We're gonna do it again this Halloween because, like you said before the clip, with COVID, we're not exactly sure what Halloween's going to look like. I'm guessing trick or treating is going to be very different. And honestly, I hope it is because I want to help to take care of the weakest among us. And it's not just about protecting yourself. It's about being aware of your neighbors. So I'm hoping we can find some creative ways to still celebrate that time of year that, in my mind, is all about playing pretend and facing big emotions like fear and examining them. Like it's a great time. It's a creative time of the year. So we're gonna do we're gonna pre-record some parody stuff, but we're also gonna do a live stream on Halloween night. You said the parody part, but the girls and I also dress up as vampires and werewolves. Right. And we are hosts. So I talk like this. Comes Papa. Vampire.
God.
And we make spooky snacks together, and so we're gonna try to create a nice experience for ourselves, but also with our friends through the screen. So you're invited to that too.
Well, I love that. I love that. Well, it's so interesting because I love Halloween. I have always loved Halloween. I don't care for scary stuff. I've never really cared for the horror stuff. I don't care for it. But I love Halloween, and I love the freedom of it. I love the creativity of it. I think it's fun, and I think those are the things that you've tapped into here with this. That it's not just about scary and horror. There's a part of that, but it's the fun of it, and the freedom of it, and the creativity of it. you get to pick what you want to dress up as and just go have fun. Whether you do some big elaborate costume or you just do something fun.
Wow.
That's what you really tapped into, which I love so much.
Well, thank you very much. You know, so my two favorite classic shows
Yeah.
are it'll speak to what we're talking about. One is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, especially the early years, and the other one is The Twilight Zone, the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were both, I think, at the like really the height of social exploration and reflection.
You know, speaking of the Twilight Zone, they came out with it on Paramount Plus. We're now get ready to be formerly known as CBS All Access. But anyway, let's continue on.
1968, and they both did the same thing, where they would look at reality and what was going on in the moment, and then they would abstract it. For Rogers, it was in make-believe with puppet play,
Right.
and on the Twilight Zone, it was these weird, surreal, kind of spooky things. But there was always that lesson. Same thing with shows like Star Trek in that period too. You know, it was social commentary through playing pretend, ultimately. And yeah, that's what I like about Halloween. It's just an excuse. Like so many of us, especially adults, who aren't necessarily in the field of art, you know, they don't get that outlet. So I think when Halloween comes along, it's like, oh, well, I get to make my costume, I get to decorate my house, I get to become somebody else for a little bit, and think about this part of me that I wouldn't normally think about. And that's all, again, really, really healthy stuff, you know.
Yes.
It's meant,
Well, yeah, and I think we're
more
seeing it
excuses to it.
with. I'm already seeing people decorating their house like crazy. I think people are going to go that route this year. Yeah, I think you're going to see. I saw something the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. It was a big white foam ball that they had put little spiders on, so it looked like a big, and it was in a netting coming off the tree.
Oh, cool! Like a big spider's nest.
Yeah,
sort
like
of
a
thing.
nest thing coming, and a big one up there.
Wow.
I'm like, man, that could kind of freak you out a little bit, but it's also just creative and fun. Like, I thought, wow, well, there's something right there.
I
Yeah.
love stuff like that. I don't like you were saying, I don't like gruesome, scary,
Right.
like truly scary stuff.
Right.
I
Yeah.
like suspense. I like that emotion. Kind of a side story, but it relates. When I was in my early 20s, a lot of my friends were into theater, and one of my good friends, John LaFlamboy, who's out in Chicago now, created a haunted house when he was in school in college,
Wow.
and that actually became a full-time career for him. He makes
Oh,
these
wow.
really extravagant, huge haunted houses back in Illinois, and then that produces enough funding for him to pursue theater throughout the
Very
year.
cool.
And he brought all of his friends along with him. It was like a big clubhouse, you know. But what was great about it was within that haunted house, all of his friends would work for it. Like oops, a robot just fell over. So we would all work in it, and I hated going through it because it stressed me out.
Right.
But being in character inside of it was really fun, and it was never like a jump out scary thing. It was lots of like psychological, scares, like deep thought stuff. A college student that was also into like psych and stuff like that. But again, it was just an excuse to ultimately play and make a clubhouse and invite others to come in and play too. So again, this time of year, October, Halloween, I think sometimes people associate the negative stuff with it. I can draw parallels. It's the same sort of thing like with the screen. It's just this tradition. But ultimately it's a tool. We decide how to use it, and it's good to explore those sort of ideas. It's helpful.
Yeah, I may have to add pictures at some point. We used to do Halloween on the road on the Barney tour because we traveled the whole time, so we would always have a party on Halloween, and everyone would dress up, crew, cast, the kids, everything, and it was pretty elaborate because when you're on the road, you know, you've seen everything a lot of times. So we'd all, you know, go in a hotel room and we'd sit and work on our costumes. And of course, you've got costume people with you. So, you know,
It's gonna be good.
yeah, it's going to be amazing. So we did some really crazy, fun stuff.
Neat.
And then when we were shooting the Barney show, Barney and Friends, the costume people and the little dinosaurs and myself would create a haunted house for the cast kids of Barney and Friends. So
Wow.
we would take one of the rooms and we would do a whole thing and dress up and lights and the whole thing for all the kids.
That's
And
great.
so, you know, that would give the kids something to get excited about. And they couldn't
Wow.
wait for it and gave us something to do. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I've always been part of it. Just love it so much. And when you told me you were doing this thing, I love it. What has it been like for your kids to be part of this? Do they get excited now every year coming up with what you guys are going to do next?
Well, that's the best part. Like the actual filming of it is always fun, and we're
Sure.
always laughing. But the best part is like the build up to it and brainstorming what our theme will be, and just making our costumes and
Sure.
you know buying specific pieces if we need to. But for the most
Right.
part, we make our own little cardboard set and all that stuff. Like that's the really fun stuff. They love
Wow.
it. They still love it. I'm kind of afraid that one day they might become too cool to pretend with me. I hope that's not the case. I don't think that'll happen. But yeah. I mean, we'll keep doing it as long as they're interested in doing it.
Do they help
Yeah,
come
it's
up with
really
the
nice.
ideas?
Oh yeah.
Or like for the snacks and the costumes and all of that?
Right. We do. We research it together. We'll look up ideas online, or sometimes just out of nowhere.
Wow.
For the Frankenstein's sisters episode from last year, Flynn had the idea of making Rice Krispie bars in the shape of Frankenstein's head. So that was just off the top of her head. She also decided she wanted to be a werewolf named Dave, because her mind was like, yeah, werewolves are people, so that person probably has a name. So she like gave her werewolf a backstory. Just Dave the werewolf. just the best stuff. You know, things like that. Brody writes out these beautiful little poems for her Wicked Witch character. Where
Wow.
she makes these potions. Yeah, we really enjoy the process. Right now, we're trying to figure out what we want to do for this year, and we've got this. I still don't know what we're going to do exactly, but we're very interested in the idea of zombies. But we're always really careful not to make it scary.
Sure,
Some
sure.
variation of that. We saw clips. They haven't seen the whole thing yet. We're gonna wait until they get older. But they've seen clips of the Alfred Hitchcock classic, The Birds.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
And we thought of doing a spin-off, The Squirrels. And it just strikes me as funny. We also have this giant cardboard tube thing, like construction tubes you pour concrete into for foundations. We just had one left over from another set that I was making, and we put these big old googly eyes on it. So we like the idea of this like tube kind of following us around the neighborhood,
Right.
like just random stuff. Like we're still playing with ideas. I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna do yet, but it's just fun to like think outside the box, and explore that silly side.
Oh, absolutely. Now, where can people find this? These
Yeah.
clips and these videos?
So if you go to Danny Joe's Treehouse on YouTube, there's a separate playlist that's called Saturday Morning Boo Tunes, and I should say this is a good practice to get into with kids. And I've tried to get much better with this because I didn't do it early on, and I wish I would have been more thoughtful about it. But with sharing pictures of kids or videos of kids, we talk first with them about, okay, is this something that you want to still share publicly, outside of family and friends? Or cute birthday photo? I always say, are you okay if I share this on Facebook so grandma and friends can see? But we're also taking the time to let them know there's also a chance that people we don't know might see it and might like it, and that's having an online footprint is it really is a big deal, and I think we've all become very comfortable with it. But I think it's important to especially with younger kids to talk about the responsibility and consequences that come with that, within appropriate boundaries. But so I always ask permission. It's about it's like essentially an early lesson in consent. Is it okay with you to share as part of who we are, who you are? So yeah, that's something we try to practice.
I think it's wonderful because I will be honest, it took me a while before I decided to do this and had to come to that. Before I wanted to share my story and talk to people, and then I realized that it was doing something good, and so it was worth doing. So I understand exactly what you're saying. I think that's really, really important that you're doing.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten so comfortable with the screen, but it is important to know that it's going out everywhere, and there's a responsibility to that. So I love that.
It's hitting lessons like that in lots of different ways. I think is going to be really important in the next few years and beyond. We've talked about this before, like with industry, like the timeline's kind of been like this, and now with like media and tech, we're like through the roof, and it's happened so quickly.
Right.
And I think we, in our minds, we're like, oh, we got it. We've been using Facebook for years, but it's still brand new, and it's very flawed, and it's because it's happening so fast.
Right.
So it's really important to step back and look at these tools and how we use them at a personal level, at a creative level, media for children, media for adults. Like it really is tools are a responsibility.
Absolutely. Well, I can't have you on the show and not have you sing something before you leave. We gotta bring me a little music.
Yeah, definitely. Let me get Teddy out. This is because we were talking about, I feel like we were talking about make believe a lot today, and playing pretend and mental health, and where strength comes from. And this song is kind of all about that. So let me get Teddy up here.
Oh, Mr. Carey. Nice to see you. This song is for everybody. Okay. I believe in you. I hope you believe in you too. You know that it's true. I believe in you. I believe in hope. And I believe in dreams. I believe that you can do anything. If you try, don't give up. I believe in you. I hope you believe in you too. You know that it's true. I believe in you. I hope you believe in you too.
Thank you, Teddy.
Welcome.
I love it. Danny, it's always a pleasure having you on.
It's a mutual feeling.
Well, good luck. We can't wait to check out what's going on with Danny Joe's Treehouse. And Saturday Morning Boo Tunes, we'll be checking that out as well. And I can't wait to see what you got planned for Halloween.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat. You'll have to tune in and find out.
Yep.
I look forward to it. Thanks again. And we're going to talk soon, so I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Call me on the tin can phone.
Will do. I finally got that connected here to the Purple Road studio, so I'll be able to yes.
Long string.
It is. Well, thank you so much for watching Purple Roads. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your Purple Road. We'll see you next week.
So that was Purple Roads podcast episode number 44. What do I think about this episode? Man, it was amazing for this Halloween and traditions of Halloween spookiness. And Danny from Danny Joe's Treehouse, if you're watching this episode right now, good luck from Saturday's Boo Towns. I'll react to those next year. It depends. We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, that was the Road to React episode number 560. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be Purple Roads Podcast episode 45. I'm thinking we're in the world in blank. Not sure it's going to be as of yet, but we'll see what happens. Till next time, so Joe's goodbye. Peace out, baby. We get more to React discuss very soon. Till then, Jump State out. See ya.
Given unto me this life I'll never take for granted, and given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening, but I tried all the time. I ask, why me? Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds the key.